Hey guys, what is up? It is me, Pagey, here once again with another video on Superman and Lois Season 3. So, we are on break this coming week for Superman and Lois, with us coming back on June 20th for the penultimate episode, with the finale on June 27th. Now, of course, last episode we had the, somewhat wrap-up of the Bruno Mannheim storyline. And I say somewhat because we don't know for sure if they will play into the story, with a certain character that's showing up in the next episode, or if that scene with Bruno sort of pleading to take the fall for everything, that has happened, and for, Mateo to be let off, that might be it for those characters. That's a wait and see, of course, but I would expect to have another few interactions with those characters. At least I think so, but yeah, we'll have to wait and see. But as we usually do get, after one episode airs, we got the trailer for the next one, and this trailer just goes full out with the Lex Luthor footage and getting us excited for what they have planned. And alongside this, we also got some behind the scenes photos which showcase other characters from the comics that will be alongside Lex Luthor once he does get out of prison. Now, as we've done recently, we won't be showing the trailer because they keep getting claimed, but of course throughout the video we will, bring up the screenshots and anything, of note. But throughout the video as well, let me know in the comment section down below your thoughts and predictions for this. Are you excited to finally see Lex Luthor on screen? Does this trailer and the footage from it get you excited for what's coming? And of course, if you're going to enjoy the video, want to show your support, everything like that, drop a like on the video. It takes 2 seconds. But yeah, this is episode 12, otherwise entitled Injustice. And before we go over this, the trailer, we do have the synopsis, which reads as follows. Lois and Clark clash with Jordan over his carelessness around using his powers in public, while Jonathan struggles with Kyle's change in behavior at the firehouse. Meanwhile, Sarah grows frustrated with Lana after she accidentally makes things more complicated with Jordan. And finally, after 17 years behind bars, Lex Luthor is set to be released from prison. Now, you might be wondering, for a Lex Luthor pretty much extremely heavy trailer, they don't really mention him that much until the end. It's very important to remember this synopsis came out like 2 weeks ago, so it might have given away if they mentioned too much, like the Bruno story was wrapped up and everything, though they don't mention them in the synopsis anyway, so people thought that would have been the case based on this synopsis anyway. But yeah, so it was released in advance, so that might be why it's done in this way. But in regards to the trailer, we actually do start out the front of Stryker's prison, which most would commonly refer to as Stryker's Island, and I don't know if it will actually be on an island or just somewhere around Metropolis on the outskirts or something like that. But considering the amount of press and vehicles out the front here, I would assume there is no island, which is weird because it was an island, so, it was more, I guess, safe because they were restricted on the island, or because this is like Metropolis's big prison, so all of Superman's big bads would go to this prison most likely, or at least, ones that they could fit in there, I guess, and that was suitable to be in there. But you never know, maybe they moved the prison off an island in the past. Maybe that could be a funny Easter egg. I guess we'll wait and see. But yeah, we see Lex Luthor being transported while hearing Lois say over the trailer, "I'm one of the people that Lex blames." Obviously, this is in reference to him being incorrectly charged with the murders of Box Moxie and his crew, which we saw was done by Pia in those flashbacks. Now, it appears that these clips of Lex Luthor being transported to Stryker's prison are actually flashbacks, which you would assume so if he's being transported to the prison, because we can see that Lois is kitted up in her journalistic outfit and also has Daily Planet accreditation on her. So this appears to be the time when Lex and Lois would have last seen each other as he enters prison, which, thanks to the synopsis, we know was 17 years ago. I guess the big question, around this point is that, will Lois be one of the first people that Lex sees when he actually gets out? That'd be a pretty interesting sort of bookend to the whole prison experience, maybe. We'll have to wait and see. Now, an interesting thing that the trailer sort of hints at is the control that Lex may have had over Stryker's prison once he went in, and then over that 17-year period. The new allies he may have made. Maybe some enemies, but I don't think the enemies would have lasted long if he had a lot of control. So he could have built all this potential control within the prison, which then leaks out into the actual open world if people get out, maybe into other areas of Metropolis that he didn't have maybe a lot of control in, or maybe just any control at all before. And now with him getting out, that there could just be this flash flood of danger and threats throughout Metropolis and the outskirts and everything like that. And also, Bruno is most likely off to prison himself, so that area that Bruno had control over, with no Lex competition while that was all happening, is now open for control itself, along with the people who are under Bruno Mannheim's influence as well. So there could just be this massive shift in control, influence, and just danger within Metropolis that is being unleashed in a really quick amount of time. So yeah, Superman and Lois may have shut down PR, Bruno, and everything that, that was going on there, but they could have just unleashed something even more threatening. Sure, Lex 17 years ago may have been evil, but he still went about things maybe as like a functioning member of society and a businessman just throughout Metropolis. But now, who knows what he has become mentally and everything like that. So it'll be interesting. Now, of course, we also had the Bizarro tease at the end of last episode, so it does seem like this episode and the finale as well will just have a lot going on. Like, it won't be slow, you'd have to think it's going to be pretty quick. And we know that Bizarro had some weird stuff going on with his skin. It was like, I don't want to say it was bubbling, but it just looked like it just something was weird. Something was weird with his skin. Bubbling maybe sounds like a weird word to use, but it's the first word that came to mind. Now, a lot of people think we could see Bizarro in the form of maybe what happens to Superman in the Superman Doomed storyline from the comics, which is where Superman gets infected with this virus thing and it ends up sort of mutating him into this like Superman Doomsday hybrid sort of thing. But obviously on the show, it would be Bizarro becoming a version of this after all the testing done by Bruno Mannheim and all that. Because it seemed like, people were dying constantly and everything like that. But Bizarro initially died last season and then he was reanimated at this point. So maybe that could just be what, kickstarts this whole thing. And just maybe reacting to his Kryptonian, physiology and stuff like that. It'll be very interesting to see what happens. Now, whether Lex has any hand in that is another question. They might keep him completely separate, but then again, they might not. And the reason I say this is because we did get a behind the scenes shot of Lex Luthor and his crew that he'll be attached to once getting out of prison. This crew including Otis Graves and Gretchen Kelly. Now, Gretchen Kelly is actually a physiologist in the comics, so I wonder if that's attached to maybe the Bizarro thing. That's a wait and see. We'll have to wait and see what happens there, but that's a potential thing that's going on there. Now, we do have Otis Graves. What about Mercy Graves? What about Miss Tessmacher? What's going on there? Maybe they just left. Maybe they did their own thing. I mean, Lex was been in prison for 17 years, so these might have been the people that he was the closest to or just willing to join him as soon as he gets out of prison. Maybe they're the smart ones in this situation. But Mercy Graves, Miss Tessmacher, a lot of people like that could still be out there in Metropolis. But if they didn't go to prison alongside Lex, then they would have just gone and done their own thing. I don't know if like Luthor Corp is still running in the way that it should be, or it could be potentially. But yeah, I guess we'll learn throughout this episode or the finale what's exactly going on there. But seeing that crew and a pretty buff Lex Luthor is pretty sweet, but you might actually recognize the location that they are in, which is the subway station that Bruno was working at with his experiences like under Mannheim Tower or whatever it is. So it seems Lex Luthor could just maybe start where Bruno left off or just look into what interesting items could maybe be left behind. We know Bizarro was here at the end of last episode, but I don't know if he would still be lingering here by this point. We'll have to wait and see. But Lex does look like he has blood on his shirt as if he's like been bashing someone up or used a weapon. There's been some blood spray going on, quite a bit of it. So who knows what he has been up to and who was the victim of all that. But the one thing that we have heard with this Lex, like one of the main and sometimes only things we've really heard with him up until this point, is that he will be more brutal than other Lex Luthors that we've seen previously in the movies and TV shows and stuff like that. And I guess after all that time on Stryker's, well, not island, I guess in Stryker's prison, I mean, that wouldn't be too much of a surprise. He's probably built up quite a rap sheet of physical altercations, but of course we might get a first-hand experience of that in either episode 12 or episode 13. Now, speaking of episode 12 and 13, obviously that's going to be wrapping up season 3, and people are very curious to see where they leave Lex Luthor, because one thing that we heard with the casting is that he was only going to be in a handful of episodes. We thought it was going to be more than 2 episodes. We thought it was maybe be like 3 or 4, but it's only going to be 2, which is episode 12 and 13. But along with that, that short run, we knew that it was like set up for him to be in season 4 if season 4 did happen. So it seems like that's what they're pretty much going to be setting up, is the potential for season 4 story there with Lex. Because we've got the Bizarro stuff happening, which is going to be like the big bad, big fight sort of things, depending on what even happens to Bizarro and everything like that. But I think they're just going to be laying the groundwork in regards to whatever Lex is planning. Now, whether this is like this big thing against Superman and or Lois Lane, you'd have to think there's going to be trying to be some like payback there for Lois, so don't be shocked if that happens. But I guess it depends like how much groundwork is put there. Like I've talked about, like maybe one of the cliffhangers could be like maybe Lex learning that Clark is Superman or something like that and leaking that identity, which completely shifts the Kent family's lifestyle and just the protection on themselves and their friends and everything like that. and even just that, like the town of Smallville as a whole. So that's definitely going to be something to keep an eye out for. Whether we get any hints at it in episode 12 is another question. That might be something that they leave until like the back half of the finale or episode 13. It's hard to really tell exactly when things will be set up or not set up, but you have to think they're going to tease season 4. We have heard that there's a cliffhanger, but we haven't heard whether it's this massive cliffhanger or just a basic one that sets up something for season 4. But the fact that that's been teased makes you think there's going to be something of interest there. So, I mean, it's going to be very intriguing to see what goes on here, because we've been waiting for Lex, and he does look like he's going to be pretty badass Lex Luthor, and they've cast a good actor in the role to play it. So, yeah, I'm just intrigued to see what effect he has in such a small amount of time, might I say, but also the potential that's put there for maybe season 4 happening, fingers crossed. But yeah, let's just assume it's happening. But yeah, what might happen there with season 4. So I'm very excited to see what happens. But yeah, guys, thanks for watching. Hopefully you enjoyed the video. If you did, it'd be awesome if you could drop a like and to show support. Let me know in the comment section down below. Are you looking forward to Lex coming in? Any theories and predictions moving forward? What do you think is happening with Bizarro? Do you think it's going to be like that sort of Bizarro Doomsday hybrid sort of thing? Or do you think it's going to be something else? Let me know in the comments. And of course, if you are new to the channel, make sure to subscribe. And I'll catch you guys later. Goodbye.